1,600 horsepower. That number belongs to a road-legal car built around a shape that first existed 19 years ago, for a race Koenigsegg was never allowed to enter. Koenigsegg calls this car a tribute. The automotive press calls it the most track-focused road car the company has ever built. Both descriptions are true, and that is exactly the problem for anyone who has followed this story since it began. 2 decades ago, Koenigsegg built a race car for the GT1 class. It was tested. It was fast. It never competed, because the rulebook changed underneath it 2 months after testing started. Every one of the 70 examples of this new car was already spoken for before the public ever saw it. By the end of this video, you will understand why Koenigsegg chose to finish that story with a road car instead of a race car, and what that choice actually costs the people who wanted to see the original get its revenge on an actual track. Start with what changed physically, because the 2 cars barely share a philosophy. The original car, built in 2007, used a naturally aspirated 5-liter V8, making roughly 500 horsepower, about 100 horsepower under the GT1 class ceiling of 600. The chassis weighed 1,000 kilograms, comfortably under the class limit of 1,100. Its aerodynamics were rated at a little over 600 kilograms of downforce. Every gram of that car existed to satisfy a rule book written by regulators, not by Koenigsegg. The new car answers to no rule book at all. Under the rear glass sits a twin turbo 5-liter V8, producing 1,280 horsepower on ordinary gasoline and climbing to 1,600 horsepower on 85% ethanol fuel, with up to 1,500 Newton-meters of torque. Power reaches the rear wheels through a 9-speed gearbox Koenigsegg calls the light-speed transmission, fitted with a new sequential shift interface that uses an actual clutch pedal for takeoff, a deliberate echo of how the original car was driven. Aerodynamically, it produces up to 800 kilograms of downforce at 250 kilometers per hour, generated by the largest active rear wing Koenigsegg has ever fitted to a car. The body itself is built from a new aramid and carbon composite the company calls ghost fiber, lighter and better at sound deadening than ordinary carbon panels. Koenigsegg has not published an official curb weight for this car, so that number stays out of this script. Koenigsegg's engineers had already proven on the original car that a light, naturally aspirated formula could compete at the top of GT1 without needing anywhere near 1,600 horsepower. So why build the tribute around double the power output and a pair of turbochargers, instead of something closer to the raw simplicity that made the first one work? The answer has almost nothing to do with taste, and almost everything to do with timing. Christian von Koenigsegg studied the Le Mans GT1 rulebook before the company built its first production car, and shaped the width and frontal area of that first prototype, specifically so a future GT1 racer would not need to be redesigned later. Those same dimensions carried through the CC8S and the CCR. So when Koenigsegg finally built an actual GT1 racer, working with fabricator Dag Bellenius and testing it with driver Loris Bukaki, it was the culmination of a plan that had been running since the company's earliest sketches. 2 months into shakedown testing, the FIA rewrote the GT1 rules to require far higher production volumes than an ultra-low volume manufacturer like Koenigsegg could ever meet. Other manufacturers began pulling out for the same reason, and the championship eventually folded entirely. Koenigsegg's racing program was shelved with a single car built and 0 competitive laps completed. That car was sold and spent roughly 15 years out of public view before resurfacing for sale at the Goodwood Festival of Speed in 2024. Since then, it has been restored by the Koenigsegg Legend Division, and it is now old enough under historic racing rules to compete in the GT1 historic class nearly 2 decades after it was built to do exactly that. That restoration is what actually reopened this story. But the car that gets to race in GT1 Historic is the original, unmodified 2007 prototype, not the new road car wearing its name. The new car was built on the modern CC850 platform, sharing only its doors and removable roof with that donor car, and mechanically, it has nothing in common with the race car it honors. So, if the real second chance belongs to a 19-year-old prototype quietly heading for a historic grid, what was this new, far more famous machine actually built to do? And what does that leave for the people who wanted the tribute itself to be the redemption? Look closely at what this car actually is, and the gap becomes obvious. It keeps road going, comfort features the original never had. Buyers can choose the sequential shifter with its racing-derived clutch and ignition cut shifts, or opt instead for a conventional 6-speed gated manual shared with the CC850, a choice a real GT1 entrant was never allowed. An optional track package adds a roll cage, fire suppression, and racing seats. But it is an option, bolted onto a car that is road legal from the factory. The original CCGT was built to satisfy a strict 1,100 kilogram class limit under a real external rulebook. This one answers to no external limit at all, only to what Koenigsegg's own engineers decided would look and feel right. That difference is not a technicality to enthusiasts who have followed this story for years. Automotive press coverage has been almost uniformly admiring of the engineering, while still noting, carefully, that this is a celebration rather than a continuation. The original car was built to be judged by a stopwatch and a rule book. This one is built to be judged by a waiting list. So here is the direct answer. This car was never built to physically finish the race the original one lost. It exists so Koenigsegg can publicly close a chapter that regulators cut short using modern turbocharging, aerodynamics, and materials science to make a statement a strict, low-volume racing formula once made against the rules to prove. The actual vindication, if it ever fully arrives, will happen quietly, on a historic grid, in an unmodified 2007 car that most spectators will not even recognize. Widen the lens, and this is not just a Koenigsegg story. Across the hypercar segment, manufacturers are increasingly building anniversary and tribute models to close out old, unfinished chapters. The same way Koenigsegg's own CC850 paid tribute to its first production car, rather than only chasing new top speed or lap time records. Some see that as legitimate storytelling from brands with genuine history to draw on. Others see it as a way to sell nostalgia in place of the competitive validation a real race result would have provided. Either way, the 70 buyers who signed up before they ever saw this car were not buying a GT1 winner. They were buying the ending. Koenigsegg never got to write for itself the first time. Koenigsegg has now closed one loop that started in 2007. Next, we look at the one Bugatti still has not.